Hey everyone, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. Bullish week, bunch of names hitting all-time highs. There's a number of names that are tightening up, and we know volatility is going to be coming in the week ahead. And we're going to check in on a bunch of our major sectors. Crypto stocks will be a top watch with Bitcoin bull flagging just under all-time highs. We'll check in on quantum names that have had a bit of relative weakness. We'll also be looking at the uranium space, which has had a lot of strength. Lots to look at, lots of setups, lots of fun. All right, so mindset for the last 6 to 8 weeks has been, I'm a bull if the broader market is in a daily uptrend. This past week, we had a sideways chopping around. It looked like, we might be shifting a bit. We had all the headlines bears could ask for, and the fact that they could not break support. We got right down to it during a holiday. We got right down to it during a weekend. If we can't break support with a significant amount of bearish headlines, we're going to go higher. And because of how close we are to all-time highs, it's very unlikely that we're going to fail all-time highs at these levels. So, bulls following through. Ceasefire headlines helped. And it was just an extremely bullish week overall. And the daily uptrend is going to remain our guide as we have a lot of space for a daily high or low to be the result of next consolidation. If we're just looking at SPY, which is up at all-time highs, we will say it's a stair-step bounce all week. And next time we pull back, anything above 591.89, which is almost 4% away. Anything above that's a daily high or low. So what would it take to have a red flag? If you retrace over 50%, whenever we top out, if you get back over half of that move, then it means, okay, we need to be cautious. If we don't, then we're going to keep grinding higher. And that's going to remain my mindset. I did grab a little bit of a hedge on Friday. And the reason I did that is because the semiconductors had 4 gap ups in a row. If you gap up 4 times in a row, you're getting overextended, and you know healthy daily consolidation is inevitable. So I grabbed a little bit of protection. We dropped in the afternoon. We had another V-shaped bounce attempt, and we'll see if the bears can confirm an hourly downtrend. That's what we're watching for next. If we confirm an hourly downtrend, daily consolidation will be underway. If not, we're going to keep heading higher. And the NASDAQ is the same thing. This past week, it was very clearly semiconductors that led the way up. The financial sector had a good bit of strength as well. But again, we're looking at QQQ getting those all-time highs, whether you're adjusted or not adjusted. And again, tons of space for a daily high or low. Anything above 523.65. What bulls want to see, as we know, in the strongest kind of uptrend is shorter-term oversold conditions mark the longer-term higher lows. So for example, end of Friday, we had this dump to 15-minute oversold, and the bulls are hoping that that's a 4-hour higher low. When we get to hourly oversold, bulls want that to mark a daily higher low. So we'll be keeping an eye out, just little clues. Are the bulls still in complete control? But again, let's just zoom out a little bit. The bears have literally not shown us anything at all. And I mean nothing, not even a glimpse of maybe something since we bottomed with the higher low on April 21st. That's literally over 2 months without anything close to bearish activity. We came close to losing an uptrend. It didn't happen in any meaningful way. So again, I got a lot of people, I see a lot of people trying to find tops, trying to find a reason to be bearish or think that we're going to top out. But again, if you just give up trying to nail a top, and if you say, okay, well, if having to sit through 3% of downside before I recognize things shift, would I rather do that and constantly be trying to avoid a 3% drawdown and skip 10% of upside? Again, for me, it's just we want to make this game as simple as possible. And the way to do that is wait for the other direction to give us a reason to shift the mindset from bullish, because we are in an uptrend on every single time frame. Semiconductors, 4 gap ups in a row. We're extended. Would not be surprised in the slightest to see daily consolidation early this coming week. We have to confirm the hourly downtrend if that's going to happen. We then zoom out. We look for a daily high or low. We watch the response to daily, or I should say hourly oversold conditions. And again, from where we closed on Friday, we would need to drop 7.6% to lose the daily uptrend. The names that have been leading the way, NVDA, of course, just straight up after sideways grind. I forget where I talk about stuff a lot of times, whether I'm talking about it in the Chart Guys chat room, the Chart Guys live streams, these videos. I think I highlighted SMCI as a laggard. We got a really nice move. We started the week with dilution news that gave a play off of support and then an inside bar and then a bull break, but 22% off of that low of Monday. So again, profit taking, weekly bull flag has confirmed, but we're going to watch for a daily higher low. In an ideal world, the bulls will hold a back test of the $44 resistance zone, trying to hold that as support next consolidation. MU had earnings. It's staying strong overall, but semiconductors led the way. Tesla, we knew, again from last week, we know volatility is coming in Tesla to start this week. Why? It's a beautiful 4-hour equilibrium tightening up. So heading into Monday, I knew I was live streaming for the chart guys and I'd be a bit distracted. So I ended up grabbing a position pre-market. And this pretty much sums up my trading. Trying to copy it here. This sums up my trading where I am trading individual names, but everything that I'm doing is based on the NASDAQ. I can't get it. All right, so real quick trade review. We've got pre-market Monday morning as I'm getting ready for the live stream. I'm doing the whiteboard where I'm looking over all the sectors and the individual names, posting the setups that I'm watching. I'm watching the NASDAQ pulling back, and I'm viewing this as pretty much futures open with a gap down open because the U.S. got involved with the bombing, and I see the bulls significantly buy that dip, and I'm viewing that as a straight up bounce. And then I'm looking at this pullback, and I'm saying, okay, an hourly higher low is the most likely result of this pullback. And at that point in time, while I was, again, I very, very rarely will trade pre-market, but I just saw a setup where I liked the risk reward. And the 5-minute time frame at that point, the RSI was really beat up. We got down almost to the teens there. And so as it's dropping, I know, okay, I'm looking to try and position for an hourly higher low in the NASDAQ. And I know Tesla's a top watch for me because I'm anticipating that this equilibrium is going to break. So I want to give myself a position where I can get in a risk-free position and then let the week start. If we break bull, I've got a great position. If we break bear, I stop out. And so pre-market, I was watching QQQ and buying Tesla in response because Tesla was showing us relative strength as the NASDAQ was dropping there. And just seeing that right here, where was the relative strength? Well, we hit the low of pre-market at 705. Right here, QQQ was dropping to a lower low. Tesla didn't. Tesla formed a higher low. So I make my entry, I sell a bit. My break even is now under the low of pre-market, 323. And then I just let it play out. And the reason I did that is because I knew if the bulls start strong and we go up to our key resistance zone, 332 to 335, by the time we break it, we're going to be extended on the short-term time frames. It's going to be hard for me to buy that break. So I had that position, sell a chunk into the move, and I did swing trade it, and then we got a bunch of red flags. So this is where as soon as something happens on a shorter-term time frame, okay, the 4-hour equilibrium broke bull. I now zoom out. And I then say to myself on the weekly chart, okay, well, if we do not break 368, it's possible this is a weekly lower high and an equilibrium. So I'm aware of that. And I have a swing position into Tuesday, and its break even is, in the 3 teens because I took some profit, and we get red flags right out of the gate. There was a huge bullish strong start on Monday. I think we had a morning volume surge signal with the high vol. No, we didn't, but again, straight up. And then Tuesday was the exact opposite, straight down and glaring relative weakness. The NASDAQ was not weak Tuesday and Wednesday, while Tesla just dumped. It was showing us relative weakness pre-market, and it followed through with it. So I stop out my runner position in the 330s early Tuesday morning because I now recognize, okay, inside bar bear break, the probabilities that we're going to keep tightening up within this range just increased, just doubled in probability for me. So now Tesla is on a 2-day tightening range where I'm viewing this as our high, low, lower high, and we're scouting a 2-day higher low, anything over 273. There's a lot of support from that previous 4-hour equilibrium in the 3 teens, 310 to 315. So we came close to that on Friday, but bulls ideally want to hold those 3 teens for this 2-day higher low, and we're going to look to keep tightening up. Bears obviously want to leg down towards 300, but we're now just zooming out. All right, we were zoomed in for the 4-hour tightening range. We know volatility is coming. Now we've got a longer term tightening range. It may take a week or two, especially with the holidays coming up. We've got a half day Thursday, no trading Friday this coming week for July 4th. But it may take a couple of weeks for this tightening range to tighten up and then tell us, hey, volatility is coming. This is going to break. But at this point, a 2-day higher low is on watch. The hourly downtrend is our guide, and the relative weakness has been glaring. And so what if the NASDAQ does start daily consolidation? That probably puts some more downward pressure on Tesla. So very patiently scouting for a 2-day higher low. And if I'm looking for a swing, my mindset has to be, I can't play off 273. That's way too far away. Bad risk reward. I have to have a level where I say that's either the higher low or I'm wrong. And I need something to develop on the hourly time frame if I'm going to get that mindset. So tightening up for now on Tesla. Onto the financial sector. So we've been watching this potential, talked about it a couple times, cup and handle. Again, it's not the ideal rounded bottom down here, but what I care about is a rejection just under resistance, no resistance beyond that double top, and then a bull flag. And this is a bull flag. It took an extra 3 weeks of sideways chop from when we first started identifying and watching this pattern, but the bulls broke. The bull flag is confirmed, and we're testing the all-time high, 52.27, and we got within 4 pennies on Friday. So again, another name where there's a ton of space for a daily high or low. We're watching to see. The most important thing for me this coming week, there's a check mark list of what I need to see. Does hourly oversold mark daily high or lows on our strongest names? When the semiconductors consolidate, does that mean XLF, XLV, IWM are all seeing daily consolidation with it? Or do we see the healthy bull rotation that gives us confidence the bulls are maintaining their control? SMH consolidates. Does XLV or XLF stand out as a lead bull going a bit inverse? And that stood out a bit on Friday. Look at the morning. So 5 minutes of pullback on XLF and then straight up to the tune of 1%. While that was happening, look at SMH. SMH started a little bit strong. It double topped, rolled over. This period right here, weakness from 1140 to 1240 essentially. What's XLF doing at that point in time? Here's 1140 to 1240. That last leg up. It was going in the exact opposite direction of the semiconductors. Then you got a headline, Trump Canada, whatever. Everything dropped together. But there was a brief period of the rotation seen within an hour that I want to see on a daily chart if it's going to be exactly what bulls want to see in terms of rotation. But again, even if we do start daily consolidation, no red flags. We'll see if the bulls can get that all-time high. JPM, one of the leaders on the way up. It got that all-time high long ago. Just big follow-through all week. And again, just a cup and handle type of pattern. Healthcare, we've been watching for a while. We saw the bear flag confirm with no follow-through. And then we said, okay, if this is going to reverse, it's likely going to need to be an inverse head and shoulders. Because on the weekly bounce, anything under 140.13 is just a lower high. That was set. And now we're looking at, can the bulls confirm the weekly uptrend? We haven't had a clear weekly uptrend in XLV since February. So that would be, again, it's our weakest major sector trying to put in a reversal from a bottom. And so what I'm watching for this coming week is, does XLV give us an equilibrium with red on Monday? Then we'll look for something like that. Or can we see the bulls show up first thing and make a move towards 136.68? We got fairly close. We got 1.2% away, but we did double top Thursday and Friday. So again, if we're red on Monday, XLV, we're going to be watching for a daily equilibrium to tighten up, and the direction that breaks is going to have implications for me. Again, I don't ever trade the healthcare sector. I care about UNH. We'll look at it in just a moment, but it matters to me with my analysis of the S&P 500 and the market as a whole when I'm trying to determine, do I want to still be scouting pretty much only bullish plays or not? UNH. So UNH I'm viewing as a 2-day equilibrium. And it's not surprising to just tighten up after massive volatility, the most volatile event in the company's history. We've got our low, high of the bounce 322s. We topped out 316. We got a new higher low, 295. So a little base of support, 280s, 290s. My mindset is if we cannot break 317, I'm just rounding here. If we can't break 317, it's just a lower high to keep tightening up. Let's get rid of these EMAs so we can see that price action. So again, it's not a picture perfect equilibrium, but I'm viewing it as, my brain just smooths it out, and I'm just viewing it like this. And so if we can't break 317, we're going to keep tightening up. And again, that can last 3.5 days this week. That can last all week and take us into next week. Bulls obviously would prefer to break 317 and see follow through on this bounce. There was relative strength on Friday, solid bull volume. And again, you look at what XLV did, very different. So we'll see, but very open to continued tightening. Quantum names have been showing us relative weakness. IONQ is a lead bull, and it's also one of the most major names. It's got volatility coming. How do we know? This tightening range is going to break, if not this week, the week after for sure. And so I care most about 4281 resistance, and I care most about, there's a few support levels before it, but this double bottom at 36 is clearly the most important support. So I don't like looking bearish when the NASDAQ is so strong, but I do know that QBTS has been showing us relative weakness for weeks. And so if the NASDAQ shows weakness, I short QBTS. I made small gains shorting it this past week. I also got stopped out break even or tiny loss a couple of times because, Friday's a perfect example. I'm short QBTS on the morning. We get nice follow through. I take a little profit. I set a break even stop. I stop out. You get this big move to the new high of the day twice before you roll over into an 8% drop or whatever that was with the broader market weakness. So this is just a perfect example of if the broader market's going up, it doesn't matter if you're relatively weaker, you're going to be lifted up with it. But as soon as there's a little bit of weakness in the broader market, it's magnified on the name that shows relative weakness. So almost a 6% drop. But the target has been this gap fill 1344. And again, we're about to close the month of June with a monthly inside bar on a lot of these quantum names. And we're watching RGTI is a monthly lower high forming, IONQ. If that sideways range breaks bear, a monthly lower high is forming. QUBT is a monthly lower high forming. So again, I don't like looking bearish when the NASDAQ is strong, but I like to have names that I know where to go to. Oh, NASDAQ weak, I'm shorting over here. And if IONQ breaks bull, that makes me even more hands-off shorting. If it breaks bear, that makes me more likely to be shorting this sector. Crypto names have been staying out in a big way. In terms of trades that I've taken in the last 2 weeks, it's probably 80% coin and CRCL because of their massive breakout and massive volatility. Bitcoin is bull flagging under the all-time high. The fact that the NASDAQ and S&P 500 are up at all-time highs gives added confidence that Bitcoin's probably going to test its all-time high this coming week or the first week in July. So that means focusing in on our crypto stocks. Coin, with its inclusion to the S&P 500, bullish headlines, we had massive follow-through from this weekly bull flag. I'm considering it blue sky breakout. It's not. We did hit higher prices, but only on the IPO day and only for like an hour or two. So there's not really any price action up in this range aside from, a couple hours of trading. So I'm treating it as if it's blue sky breakout. We had a pretty solid drop on Friday. We had a 15-minute stair step. Nice follow through once that finally broke bull. Bull break was at 350. We bounce up to 358. So, 2.5%. We didn't get to hourly oversold. Again, we're watching, does hourly oversold mark a daily high or low? But we know we're scouting a coin daily high or low because we just went straight up to the tune of 30+% in a few days. 2 weeks of trading, you go straight up 62%. Daily high or low is the most likely scenario. So I know this coming week, I'm scouting a coin daily high or low. Maybe I'll try and position for a swing. Maybe it'll just be day trading. I don't know. Depends how things shape up. But again, I know that crypto stocks are a top watch because of how Bitcoin is positioned. Another factor, again, just like when I find something and say, I don't have to think. Gold, weekly EMA 12 has been support for months. If weekly EMA 12 is support, it's bullish. That's our guide. When we lose it, something shifts. You see this happen on the day trading time frames so often. Look at coin here. Coin is struggling at 2-minute EMA 12 the entire day as bears do a really good job driving this down. And so I say to myself, bears have complete control of 2-minute EMA 12 as resistance. And as soon as it turns into support, I watch for a shift. And you can see the candle that convincingly closed above it. From that point forward, everything shifted. That's when your bounce gets underway. So again, as a trader, there's many times I'll say, I'm not making an attempt until this changes. And then you'll see it changes and the character of the price action very significantly changes from there as well. So I would highly suggest, and again, for me, EMA 12 is just a godsend in terms of being such a good visual guide for my trading style. Maybe it's a different EMA for you, but I highly suggest getting that kind of mindset where you watch, I've been saying the term EMA rider so much more the last 2 years because it just simplifies things and nothing changes until the EMA rider shifts, both as a bull or as a bear. Tesla probably did it Monday as well. I don't even know. This wasn't a prepared thing. 2-minute EMA 12 on Tesla. Perfect. Hold it, nothing changing because we're holding it. We lose it. Granted, that didn't mark the high of the day, but we broke the high by a fraction of a percent, less than $1, and then we roll over into consolidation. So if I'm a bull saying, I'm not going to take any profit until 2-minute EMA 12 is lost, and then you take some profit, perfect. I mean, that's such a great guide. Uranium names have been on absolute fire. CCJ, lead bull. Look at this. Do I have to even think about this name if daily EMA 12 is support? Nope. Nothing changes if daily EMA 12 is support. This is an EMA rider on the daily time frame for almost 2 months. Just with regards to swing trading, I want to know when I'm wrong quickly. I took a CCJ swing trade long and an XBI swing trade long, I think the same day of the same week. And it was here, long CCJ this Friday. And let's just do side by side. XBI longed it that same Friday. So Friday, June 6th. So I'm long XBI first thing on that morning. I take a little bit of profit into the move up because I'm on a 3 times leveraged bull ETF on XBI with my swing, LABU. So it was up, LABU was up over 10% in 2 days. So I take a little bit off and then I set my stop loss down break even. And, well, what if we set a daily high or low and you stop out? Doesn't matter. I'm not going to allow a trade where I'm up over 10% to end up as a red trade. I just will not allow that to happen. So 2 trades, same day. They both go in my favor. Great. Looking great. I stop out of XBI, break even a few days later. I lose nothing. It's an insignificant trade. I was wrong. I wanted more follow through than that. Wrong. Didn't lose anything. And the runner, the one that I'm right in, I let run. My target was 64 plus. But when you're long, your potential upside is unlimited. So, if I'm in and I've got an average under 60, I'm now up over 20% on my winner. And even if that went red, let's just say XBI went against me, I lose 2-3% and have a winner of 20%. It's just a perfect example of cut your losers quickly, get out quickly, and then, let an EMA rider be your guide. Let's just make a simple statement right now. I will hold CCJ. When we lose daily EMA 12, I'll exit that position. Right now, I just walked my stop up. Stop was under here, then stop was under here. So I've just been walking it up with the daily higher lows, but this is gonna be a bit tighter. We can lose daily EMA 12 before we lose the daily uptrend. What if it keeps going? Whatever. I'll lock in the win, won't care. I'll go focus on something else. But that's my mindset for the trade at this point. SMR and OKLO are more volatile names in uranium. And again, still seeing correlations where there was a day this past week where quantum names dumped into the end of the day as the NASDAQ ran, and these SMR and OKLO dumped with quantum. And so, why are they correlated sometimes? You could say that the quantum needs the energy quantum and AI need the energy of uranium, so there's a link there. But SMR, tightening daily range, OKLO, tightening daily range. If they break bear, clear weekly consolidation will continue, and that could potentially be an indication that CCJ may be topping out. They're different animals. CCJ much more proven is my understanding, but previous resistance, again, because there's so many strong uptrends in the market, I know there's names I'm looking for hourly higher lows on. Then I know there's names I'm looking for daily higher lows on, semiconductors, SMCI. Then there's names I'm looking for weekly higher lows on, SMR, CCJ eventually, still a daily uptrend guide there. So, am I going to be, would I want to buy CCJ up here next daily consolidation for a higher low? No. I'm going to say, all right, the weekly's gone straight up. I'm going to scout a weekly higher low entry. So again, the conveyor belt of trades, I cannot suggest enough having a list, pen and paper next to your computer where you're writing these things down. I'm interested in these two names for an hourly higher low today. I'm interested in these two names, coin, daily higher low. Interested for a higher low in those names sometime in the next couple of days. Interested in a weekly higher low in these names sometime in the next couple of weeks. And that keeps you focused on, it helps knowing when to look where, which a lot of people get overwhelmed with. I forgot to talk about CRCL for crypto stocks. Tops in for now, for a long time. Just, euphoria, hundreds of percent, volume climax, big upper wick, not surprising. What mistake for me, I shorted at 295. I nailed the top on CRCL. I was all out on the drop that day to the 240s. I wanted to reshort it on the next day. Fidelity didn't have any shares available. Could I have taken options? Yes. Implied volatility, had them extremely expensive. I don't like trading options. I much prefer common shares. Had I known that I would not be able to grab more short shares on Tuesday, I would have left my swing trade short as a runner position. So that was a mistake because I'd still be in it because it's a daily stair step. We tried to set a daily higher low. I was watching for it this week, but we double topped high of Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday, bears took over in a big way. And so I have not made an attempt at a daily higher low yet. I want a gap down open. So if we get a gap down open Monday, I'm scouting the daily higher low in CRCL. And again, the most likely scenario after this kind of volatility, you set the higher low, you set a lower high, but you can easily see a 20% bounce from a daily higher low. So I am watching for that this coming week cautiously because again, the top is clearly in for now. And if you ask me what's CRCL going to do for the next couple of weeks, it's just find a range and then tighten up within it. But we haven't found our support level yet. Maybe it's going to be this double top at resistance, 165, to try and hold as support. But congrats to the bears there. Definitely nice gains. Commodities. Is there anything else? Commodities. Dollar is weak. Drop to the lower low. Keep it simple. If weekly EMA 12 is resistance, the bears have complete control. So down to fresh lows. Dollar hitting the lowest level in years. With that, gold is testing weekly EMA 12 as well. We may be underway into a bigger shift. So gold can very easily, I'm viewing gold's range as the all-time high, and then this low of 3120 is the most important support. We fail the all-time high. I would expect we're probably going to hold 3120 at least initially and tighten up sideways. Bulls definitely want to hold weekly EMA 12. We'll see how it goes. But again, if we lose it, we could say this is the first time in 2025, 6 months, that we've lost that. We may be shaping up for monthly consolidation. Speaking of which, if you've been watching bigger picture, gold and Bitcoin have been very inverse. If I'm a Bitcoin bull, I want gold monthly consolidation, and I want to see Bitcoin new all-time high because there has been a rotational aspect between those two assets. While that's happening, silver's got weekly consolidation underway. It's still a potential weekly bull flag. I want to see silver bulls hold previous resistance as support. It hasn't been tested yet. It's a potential daily head and shoulders. We had a bear break, no follow through. I did exit some more. Last week I exited all of my miners. Good thing they're significantly weak. GDXJ, new lows, lowest level in a couple of weeks. So I exited all my miners when this support level was lost. Exited some silver when this support level was lost. No follow through. We'll see if it's a head and shoulders this coming week or not. Clear base of support in the mid 35s. But the position I have left in silver, I'll sit through a pullback all the way to 33. This is a long-term position that I've had at this point for many months. EMA rider. I will hold the position I have left in silver as long as monthly EMA 12 is support. That's my guide. And that has kept me in for months. That kept me in here. So, could I add back again? Sure, maybe. I sized down a little bit. I don't want to give back these gains. But, if this continues to convince me it's a weekly bull flag, I may add back the position I stopped out of, even if it's higher. As long as I have a new thesis and a nearby stop level and the risk reward makes sense, I can jump right back in. But still keeping an eye on silver. Again, great move, 13-year highs, no red flags whatsoever. It's just a question of, are we going to see a couple more weeks of consolidation or not? Oil has had all the volatility with the headlines. Big longer term top. Again, what do we expect after this? An equilibrium. We're going to be looking for, we'll do it from the weekly. I'm looking for a weekly higher low compared to 58.22 and then a weekly lower high on that bounce and then a tightening range for a good bit of the summer. And so we're trying to get a bounce going here. It's a potential daily bear flag. If I'm looking long on this kind of setup, I'd love to see a bear flag with no follow through and then I go long. Where does my stop go? Under the low at that point. It's essentially a bottom fishing play because my thesis is, okay, bear flag, no follow through, we start a bounce. If I'm going to be correct, we don't break lower low from there. So that low's got to hold at that point. Obviously, I'm doing a bit of, so that's my style of predicting, right? I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying if this happens, it's a potential setup on how I would like to make an entry. I probably won't even do it just because I never really trade oil. I got plenty of things to trade. But I just know that when I look at this setup, am I comfortable going long here? Nah, it looks like a bear flag. I want to see a bear break, no follow through for me to be comfortable with a weekly higher low attempt. Natural gas, still range bound. So we double topped at resistance. We broke support with no follow through. Where did I draw those lines from? I don't know. Maybe they adjusted. Do we adjust contract? I don't know. I would have assumed these lines were higher. But anyways, we've been watching for a monthly higher low on natural gas and it hasn't been set. And, could natural gas just tighten up on the monthly all year? Absolutely. I have lost interest in natural gas. It was a great bounce. Again, just goes to show you. Remember when we topped out and I stopped out of that runner, whenever that was, first natural gas trade in years, went really well. And look at the chop that I've avoided. Nothing has gone on the last 2.5 months. And if I were focusing and trying to position, maybe I wouldn't be losing a bunch of money in natural gas, but I'd be losing the opportunity cost of my attention being on natural gas, and maybe I wouldn't be making money over here. So I'm done talking. Hope you're well. Do good things. Tightening ranges set to, okay, quick recap. Rotation. When semiconductors pull back, does everything pull back? Or does XLF or XLV or one of our other major sectors go inverse, showing us rotation? I'm still watching some of the bigger, if we get rate cuts, I'm still watching some of the bigger names like Pepsi. Dividend plays could come back into favor a bit if rate cuts start happening later this year. So keeping an eye on Pepsi. Still range bound, but trying to shape up a reversal here. I went off track. Tightening ranges. Where's volatility coming? IONQ, volatility is coming. Tesla eventually, but today we're scouting the higher low. We're scouting a CRCL, daily higher low into a tightening range. Oh, there was one more I'm missing. There's another tightening range out there. I forget. You'll have to watch. Maybe you remember. If not, rewind, watch again. We'll see you next week.